All right, here we are. Welcome to Thursday. Preseason baseball is underway. We're here with Brian, co-host, and we are at the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. And Brian, I don't know if you can see in the background, but I got some snow here in Southern California. I guess hell did freeze over. I don't
It
know.
did. It's pretty nice. I got nothing but rain where I live.
How you doing today, buddy?
It's cold and wet, and we're doing great.
Yes, I know. It's the one of the 4 days a year it rains, right?
It rains a lot. Great for the dog. He never wants to go outside
Oh, God bless the dog. Just
or
gives
take
him
care of the
another
dog.
excuse to sit home with your beautiful wife and just live that life, huh?
Yeah. It's all about the beautiful wife, living the life.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it makes it so much better. This really symbolizes my off season living in Los Angeles. For everybody who's new to the podcast, which is basically everybody because we just started it, is we are Red Sox fans, Brian and I. We've known each other for a long time. He is eminently knowledgeable about the world of sports. He isn't always right, and when he isn't, I tell him, and vice versa. But I want everybody out there to know there's two types of Red Sox fans. It's like we're all in Arkham Asylum from Batman. And some of us have been committed to the cell for the rest of our life, and some of us have escaped from the cell, but we're outside but heavily medicated and we're not allowed to interact with society. I'm that guy. Brian is still the guy believing. He is the guy in the cell, believing the Red Sox are going to do it all right. And having to live in Southern California with the onslaught of the Dodgers Renaissance makes me want to throw up every day. It really does. I mean, Brian, what do you think about the Dodgers and their off season and where they're looking at?
The Dodgers are frustrating to everyone in the world of baseball, except the Dodger fans, of course,
Sure.
because it's the same thing that we went through with the Yankees in the early 2000s.
Mm,
They just any great player, they just go get them.
right.
I'm waiting for the. This is where we disagreed though too. I'm waiting for the bill to come due on the Dodgers someday with all these deferred contracts, and it's going to catch up to them eventually. Is my either my thought or my hope,
Right.
either one. But again, as far as I see it, they've only won one championship, since '88. So
Hmm.
I mean,
Amen.
they can build a great team. It doesn't guarantee victory because no, 2020 didn't count.
Amen. COVID doesn't count. I say that for the Lakers too. F them both. Let me ask you this, though. Baseball is becoming increasingly irrelevant on the national stage. Do you think the Dodgers, with their brand appeal, bringing maybe baseball into the ecosystem of sports talk, let's say ESPN, Fox, do you think it's good or bad for the sport?
It's good because if there's people paying attention, there's potential for growth.
Hmm.
And baseball is drifted into a uh, not up to date with the fast paced society just by the
Hmm.
nature of the game. So
Right.
some of these rule changes to speed things up, I think, are great. Some of them I kind of don't like, where they're kind of, you know, just trying to input greater chances for offensive output. It's great to see, guys hit home runs and stuff, but, we still need to play real baseball.
Okay. Now, do you think with the new collective bargaining agreement, which is on the table after next season, do you think they're going to put in a salary cap? I mean, obviously they've been trying to do that for 40 years.
They've been trying to, and if they're really adamant on it, more so than they've ever been from the ownership perspective, then we're going to have another work stoppage.
Yeah.
And I don't think
Yeah.
that's going to happen. I think there's going to be there will ultimately be some type of modifications made to the luxury tax system.
Hmm.
Maybe a floor put in where teams are required to spend X amount of money because based on, they never share how much money they're making or losing according to them. But just based on TV revenue and you look at all the advertisements in stadiums and everything, the teams are making more money. They need to spend it appropriately, but I also side with ownership on the fact that, hey, it's my business. I can do what I want with it.
Yeah, I can understand that thought. I don't agree with it at all because I think along with ownership comes a public obligation to their fan base. And these franchises have went up astronomically in value. And we like you said, and you're absolutely right. We don't know how much revenue sharing Tampa Bay and Oakland are getting every year. Right? They claim poverty, poverty. It's like the boss who says, I'm not making any money, but he lives on Balboa Island in LA. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, okay. I hope you can make it through. I hope the yacht has enough gas in it to get you to Catalina and back, right? But it is interesting, and I think the players union has to walk a delicate balance. There is rumors that the reason the Oakland A's spent money this offseason is because they were going to file a grievance for them not spending enough according to collective bargaining. I don't know. But you see, I feel bad for the fans in Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, that their ownership doesn't make any attempts to make a competitive team. What do you think about that?
That's 100% true. It would suck to be a Rays fan, but at the same time, you go look at the last 15 years. Rays have made the playoffs quite a few times. They
Sure.
don't spend a lot of money, but somehow they put together a good team. Oakland, I've defended Oakland many times in our previous just conversations we've had because they have a system put in place where they hit the bottom for a couple of years, and then those prospects they're working on develop, and then they're highly competitive for a few years, and they just have a cycle they go through. Not everybody can, uh, get Adrian Beltre for 1 year, then he goes away as a free agent, and you just get another third baseman to take his place. That kind of stuff doesn't happen to every team. So I understand both sides of it, and the bottom line is, to me, we need better player development because there's no way all the good prospects should be coming out of the same four systems. The other teams need to develop players better.
Well, I mean, look, that's always been a lament, and you and I do disagree. Let's just take Oakland, for example. That's a good example. I think that there is some undiagnosed CTE that you're suffering from when you make these kind of points. Or hopefully it's not something more serious like a fentanyl addiction. I don't think so, but I think maybe one of those weights fell off the rack and hit you in a way that you weren't unaware of. Uh, the problem I have with the Oaklands, let's take the Oaklands and the Pittsburghs and for the most part, say Cincinnati, is they develop players, and then Oakland. Let's just go with Oakland because I can, they get some really good players. They actually have one of the five best developmental systems. But then when they're 2 years away from arbitration, Matt Chapman gets traded. They trade all the good players, and then every 3 years it's a new reset. Billy Bean, that guy must be a masochist because I don't know why he turned down the Red Sox GM job to stay in that what did Trump say about Haiti that or Africa, those S-hole? That is an S-hole on an S-hole. And I've been probably to more Oakland A games than I have Angel games or Dodger games. And those fans are passionate. They bring the drum. It's like a soccer game in Mexico City, right? They are into the game like you see very few fan bases. And what did they get? They got moved to Sacramento/Vegas, right? I mean, ownership just takes their loyalty and says thank you, hey, buy another jersey, and then we're going to get on the road. Okay, we're the Grateful Dead. We're going to just head on out and we're going to just see what it all happens. And to me, that's they all talk about everybody, especially the NFL, we care about the fans. All we do, we care about the fans. And then they let Oakland move to Vegas, right? They don't care. It's all about monetization.
Nobody cares about the fans the way they say they do. The
Correct.
owners, the players, nobody.
Right.
That's all talk.
PR. PR.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great for when you have a parade.
Yeah. Break out the duck boat. Break out the duck
Yep.
boat. Yes, exactly.
But
All right.
no, well, see, the reason I hold the A's in a little bit of a different viewing than you on that
Mhm.
particular topic, like I said, is every few years though they're competitive again. I mean, how many times have the Pirates made the playoffs this century compared to the A's?
Amen. No,
So the
there's
way the A's do it, you might disagree with, but at least they got some kind of a system they're working.
I agree.
So I can't
Let me
fault them for
ask you
that.
this.
Who else? The Mariners. Come on, give me a break.
Well, no. Look. The Mariners are good. No, look, I would say in baseball, you might want to write these things down. Is I would say
Things to not do.
The Mariners and the Cleveland and Miami do better jobs at developing pitchers than anybody else in baseball. The Red Sox develop hitters probably as well as any team in baseball. But I look at like you're talking about. Let's talk about the real dumpster fires that are out there. Colorado. I mean, that team is in a division where the other three teams are really trying. San Diego, smallest market in MLB, and they field a competitive team because it's I didn't used to believe that ownership really mattered. I thought, you get a good GM, you get a good scouting director. No, ownership does matter. And Colorado is the perfect example. They don't care. They don't care. They sign one player every 10 years to a 10-year deal that they rue the second that ink is on the paper, right? And then, like you say, the Pittsburgh, okay, they got Paul Skeens. We know it is 4 months till he has Tommy John surgery. And then they're back there, hoping they can get back to 50 wins for the year, right? Tell me who you think are the three worst franchises in baseball.
Well, Miami, I would say,
Hmm.
even though they have two World Series in their short history,
Amen. Amen. Right.
they did
Padres
it
don't
twice.
have one in 60.
It was a
Padres
long
don't
time
have.
ago, but you know what? I think the Mariners, because they never seem to crack the code. They
Right.
just never get there. They never get there. And, how long did they have great players? And they never did anything.
Yeah.
And then they've been on a rebuild ever since Junior left.
Right.
And, whew,
Colorado,
yeah,
right?
Rockies got to be in that list too.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I just the fans and they wonder why the fans get turned off. And yeah, you and I disagree. I do think about the Angels. We live here in Southern California. They try, but I don't think ownership is really has the right GM or the right scouting director or whatever. I think it might be the owner too, because he's hanging out in a bar in Newport Beach, doing double shots and saying, we got to sign Hamilton. Hey, does Pujols have
That's
a
where you
kid?
should be if you're living in that area.
As long as they have that good appetizers and hors d'oeuvres, it's
I
okay.
think the
Bar
Angels,
food,
they're just
baby.
like the Angels are like, they're like when we were younger men in the 80s and 90s, right? Remember those days?
What?
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like the Clippers from that era.
Oh, that's a great example. They
They,
really
they, they
are.
get a guy who's supposed to be the next big thing, and he's hurt.
Right.
It
Right.
happens to the Angels time and time again. They get the guys, but the guys always just flame out on them for whatever reason.
But do they get the right guys? I
Well,
mean,
obviously not if they all end up getting hurt.
it's kind of like back in the day when they had a choice of re-signing Zach Greinke or getting Hamilton, right? And they chose the Hamilton, the 5-year, $125 million deal. It didn't work out. I mean,
The guy that was
who
an
would have thought it
MVP.
would? What's that?
The guy that was an MVP.
Yeah, and also had a cocaine and substance abuse problem. I couldn't have
He
saw
was
that
over
going
that
wrong.
at the time.
Hey, just because he was hanging out with Charlie Sheen, I don't know if there's any red flags there. Brett Michaels and Charlie Sheen. I don't know. What do you think? Okay, so we're winding down. We're going to try and keep these podcasts to about 20 minutes. somewhere in that range for the, if you can, hit the like and subscribe button and tell us what kind of time frame you kind of like here. But give me one or two of your observations as we're winding into the season.
And 20 minutes is a good number for us because we've been friends for a long time. And at
Yeah.
that point, the conversation turns south because you're so wrong on everything.
You know, unfortunately, Brian Brian is a very good-hearted person. He's very intelligent, but sometimes, like I said, that undiagnosed CTE does come into effect, and I have to correct him, and that's where we start to go off, and then we don't talk for a couple days. So let's talk about the state. I think on Monday we're gonna try. And I'm not going to promise it to the fans because I know we have so many right now. If you hit that like and subscribe, we'll have even more. But
I think we're up
we're
to
going to
two
try.
if you count us.
Okay, we're going to try and do Monday and Thursday. And Monday is going to try typically be a recap of the weekend. Thursday will be a preview. And do you have any observations as we're winding down with spring training? I believe the Dodgers play their first official game next week in Japan, correct?
Yeah, I'm not into the Japan games.
I understand.
That's
But I did see a statistic. I think you and I had talked about it previously that in the NLCS when they played the Padres, they had a bigger viewership from Japan than they had in America for that series. Obviously, Shohei, Yu Jarvish, but that's a scary thing.
Well, I believe, and I have nothing to base this on, but
Sure,
I would bet that baseball is more popular in Japan than it is in America.
absolutely. There's
Because,
no competing sport.
right, there's no NFL in
Right,
Japan.
right.
And as weak as it is, there's no NBA either, I don't think. Or,
No,
or at
no,
least not on
but
that level of baseball.
correct.
Baseball is
But
number one there. So they have a couple of their stars come over here to the MLB and they're meeting in the playoffs. Yep.
I will say I agree with you, but back in the day when Shaq was playing against Charles Barkley, that was our version of sumo wrestling. Okay, I'm just putting it out there. I'm
Okay.
not going to say they were actually in shape, but there was some bellies bumping. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Okay,
But they still
whatever.
do that now on TNT?
They do. They do. And Kenny actually tries to get between them. It's the Kenny sandwich. Okay? God bless him. So tell me one or two of your takeaways as we roll into the big league season next week.
Uh, I think we can get into this on a different topic some other day. Uh, the off-season training program that most of these guys are going through, and I have no idea what it is. I'm
Hmm.
making an assumption,
Okay.
is too heavily baseball. And that's why they're having so many injuries during the preseason.
Okay.
They're overuse injuries. And I think when the season ends, they need to cut down the baseball activities, let their bodies recover, still train, still get fit, strong, everything else, rehab whatever injuries you may have, nagging little things. But they need to shut down the actual baseball activities. That's why you have
Okay.
so many injuries happening in the preseason. They never take time off from the baseball
Right.
throwing, hitting, swinging, all that stuff. And I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing. Too many guys get hurt in practice.
I'm not going to argue with you there. I think that's why we see players like Rafael Devers actually. I think they made their spring training debut just a day or two ago, right? I
Yeah.
mean, what do you think about? Let's talk about the Yankees. They made it to the World Series last year. I hate the Yankees. My two favorite teams are the Red Sox and whoever plays the Yankees. Um, they lost Juan Soto. Garrett Cole is going to be out for the year with Tommy John surgery. They've got some problems in the starting rotation. How do you look at that team?
Yeah, but Boone is going to be able to stay in more games this year because you won't
Okay.
be able to argue our balls and strikes. No, I think
Uh,
the Yankees are going to actually be just fine. And they're going to compete for the division just like they would any other year. I honestly
okay.
believe that. They went most of the season without Garrett Cole last year. Didn't make a difference. They ran away with it practically.
They did. Uh,
And
I
then
think.
Stanton's going to be out all year. Okay. When has he ever been there all year?
Well, I
They'll
think
find a
Stanton.
way.
We're looking at retirement. Yeah.
They'll find a way to still compete. And if they decide they need to go somewhere and make a trade, they will. But I
Hmm.
believe they'll probably start with calling up some of their younger prospects and giving them the shot first so they don't have to add to their luxury tax hit. But I
Right.
think the Yankees are going to end up being just fine in the long run.
Oh, I definitely think. I definitely think that they're going to make the playoffs. I think overall, I think the AL East is probably top to bottom the most competitive division. But the Yankees are in the vein, I would say, of the Dodgers, where I'm not saying they make the same smart moves that the Dodgers do and their brain trust does, but they are aggressive. If they see a need, they pretty much try and fill it.
Yep.
And that's
I
one of
just
our
think that
laments with the Red Sox.
Cashman will go for the less expensive option first to see if that
Correct.
works before he
Right.
goes and writes another check.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, there's a
Right.
reason the Yankees have never had a losing season in like forever.
Right. Right. All right. Well, there we are. That was our first podcast. Hopefully, not our last. Hopefully, Brian can get some medical attention for some of the craziness he's talking. He talked crazy. He's got Chief Wahoo. Show him that cap, Brian. Show him
There
that
you go.
cap. There you go. All right. We ain't politically correct here. Okay. There ain't no
No.
woke thing going on here. Okay.
You need to go put your head in the snow and cool off a little bit too.
I do. I do. That's how I hydrate. Okay. I act, you know what I do? I go out there and I throw the ball around with the rest of the Colorado Rockies because I'm sure we're going to have 3 or 4 snow delays in the beginning of the season. Good thing they didn't put a dome on that stadium. God bless them. Hey, remember that World Series where it snowed?
Yeah. No dome. No
No
dome.
dome.
This
Don't
ain't
need
the
it.
NFL. We're going to play on real grass without a roof. All right? Football. We're the tough
Football.
sport. Whatever.
All right. I will see you, my friend. Hey, you got to stay on for a minute or two while the video uploads. Hey, I'm giving people a peek behind the curtain.
Do I still have to
So
look at your
don't.
face?
Yes, you still do. You look at all the snow, okay? All right, everybody, if you could hit that like and subscribe button, leave some comments, especially if they're flattering for me, or Brian. If they're negative, you can go f yourself. I don't really want to hear it because if you're going to disagree with the Red Sox, I know you're wrong, and I know that you need to be in Arkham Asylum, and I will do my best to make sure you get there appropriately. All right, you have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon.